Good afternoon. My name is Christine Abdelkhale, and with my partner Jessica Mirhij, we're going to be presenting the topic on COVID-19 if it's being used as a biological weapon of war, fact or conspiracy.
So at the end of 2019, cases of pneumonia started to occur in China, some of which were fatal. This was then identified as the new coronavirus called COVID-19. This highly contagious virus has now spread over the 5 continents of the earth and infected more than 2 million people in more than 185 countries, killing almost 165,000 people. According to the World Health Organization, we now know that this virus is 10 times more deadly than the H1N1 virus responsible for the influenza pandemic in 2009. And the more the pandemic progresses, the more we know about this mysterious COVID-19. In mid-January, and according to the WHO, evidence strongly suggested that the epidemic is associated with human-to-animal exposures at a seafood market in Wuhan. A few days later, a study published by a UK-based medical journal, The Lancet, noted that the first patient listed had no link with the market. This has grabbed the attention of the media worldwide. Speculation arose regarding the origin and spread of this virus, with some claiming that COVID-19 is an experimental biological weapon that accidentally went out of control. To add to this, on the 15th of April, the United States President Donald Trump cited in a press conference the theory which said that China's Institute of Virology accidentally leaked the virus. For this reason, this poster aims to explore the available evidence that substantiates or invalidates these speculations.
A lot of speculations have risen over COVID-19 being used as a bioweapon. The reason these conspiracy theories have emerged across social media platforms and other large corporations is that given the possibility that these viruses may escape or be released accidentally from experimental laboratories and that little information about the virus was released, a lot of questions emerged regarding this. Furthermore, some findings show that the virus was actually transported from laboratories, some saying from the US, others saying from Canada, by a couple of Chinese lab workers working at those labs that brought it back to Wuhan after being deported for communicating with Chinese officials. They brought it back to Wuhan Institute of Virology, which houses China's only level 4 biosafety laboratory located approximately 40 to 50 kilometers from the market where the virus was said to have originated. There is data that provides information on the first case of incidence, which we can see in figure 1, that shows that the infection was not in fact from the market, and the next cases were 1/2 from the wet market, and it was not until a couple weeks later from the initial infection that the cases rose up quickly, leading also to some gaps about the source of the viral infection. The first prominent personality to come out publicly and support the theory was the US Senator Tom Cotton, who appeared on Fox News to allege that COVID-19 could indeed have originated from the lab. In addition, Dr. Francis Boyle, the creator of Bioweapons Act Canada, also claims that the coronavirus is an offensive biological warfare weapon with DNA genetic engineering. Another speculation that gained a lot of popularity is that COVID-19 is in fact a biogas that is sprayed using drones, which facilitated the high incidence rate in certain countries such as Iran, Italy, and China. A lot of people are pointing fingers that the US or the UK had something to do with this spread because of their political stances regarding these countries. However, some articles assume that the reason why China was the first target was because a couple months prior to the emergence of the virus, many protests were going on, implying that the government used the virus to stop the protests and put the people in lockdown. This is what is called control of population by weaponizing and lowering the population rate. Some speculations also arose that China and the US have the highest population rates, which leads to thinking that they use COVID-19 to minimize population size, especially encouraged by the globalists.
As you can see, there are many speculations and a lot of versions that are out there. However, there is not enough evidence. What we know of COVID-19 is the below. Human coronaviruses have long been considered inconsequential pathogens, causing the common cold in otherwise healthy people. However, in the 21st century, two highly pathogenic coronaviruses, the severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus, known as SARS-CoV, and the Middle East respiratory syndrome coronavirus, known as MERS-CoV, emerged from animal reservoirs to cause global epidemics with alarming morbidity and mortality. As you all know, in December 2019, yet another pathogenic coronavirus was recognized in Wuhan, China, and has caused serious illness and death. Compared to SARS-CoV and MERS-CoV, COVID-19 exhibits faster human-to-human transmission, thus leading to the WHO declaration of a worldwide public health emergency. All coronaviruses that have caused diseases to humans have had animal origins, generally either in bats or rodents. In the case of SARS-CoV and MERS-CoV, they were transmitted to humans from bats who infected another intermediate host, civets and dromedary camels, respectively, as we can see in Figure 2. Based on the large number of infected people that were exposed to the wet animal market in Wuhan city, where live animals are routinely sold, it is suggested that this is the likely zoonotic origin of the COVID-19. Moreover, environmental samples from the Wuhan seafood market also tested positive. Adding on to this, genomic sequence analysis of COVID-19 showed more than 95% homology with the bat coronavirus, indicating that mammals are the most likely link between COVID-19 and humans. The genetic sequence of COVID-19 also showed around 80% identity to SARS-CoV, which did originate in bats. So the evidence from the phylogenetic analysis indicates that COVID-19 belongs to the genus beta coronavirus, which includes SARS-CoV that infects humans, bats, and wild animals. Another piece of evidence that supports COVID-19 is of bat origin is the existence of a high degree of homology of the ACE2 receptor, which is the entry receptor for SARS-CoV. So this further implicates that bats are possible animal models for COVID-19 infections. So the current consensus among the scientific community is that COVID-19 originated in bats. However, it's unlikely that bats directly gave the virus to humans based on what we already know regarding the transmission of previous zoonotic coronaviruses. So scientists suspect that the bat coronavirus infected another animal, an intermediate host, which eventually transmitted the virus to humans. The identity of this intermediate host is still a mystery, but a study was done that provided a potential closely related member of COVID-19, the pangolin CoV, with a 91% similarity in their genetic sequence. However, this is still under debate and definitely requires more evidence.
As with all new diseases and only few months in, key knowledge gaps remain. There is still a lot of information that needs to go under research regarding the origins of the outbreak, as well as the modes of actions of the virus, epidemiology, duration of human transmission, and clinical treatment of the disease in order to fill in the gaps that are present, as well as to prevent future outbreaks and propagation of the current disease. Jumping to conclusions at this moment is dangerous and might cause conflicts as well as future conflicts, which is not the main focus right now. As of right now, major researches are being held in terms of the treatment of the clinical treatment of the disease, as well as vaccines are being manufactured and started on being tested on certain infected beings. Thus, nothing confirms that COVID-19 is a conspiracy. Thank you.
Thank you so much.